And so, to grow the economy, we will take 5 long-term decisions. Reducing debt, cutting tax and rewarding hard work, building domestic sustainable energy, backing British business, and delivering world-class education. The first long-term decision is to reduce our debt, to keep inflation falling and get mortgage rates down to affordable levels. Without financial security, we can't do anything to support families and workers when they need it most. When COVID struck, we could only act because our public finances were in good shape, thanks to the difficult but responsible decisions that were taken over the past decade. Now, I'll always be proud of being the Chancellor who protected 9 million jobs. And in a moment of danger, fear and uncertainty, people turned to this government and did not find us wanting. I'm proud of the support that we've provided to the NHS with record levels of funding. I'm proud too of helping households pay their energy bills when Putin cut off the gas. But the only way to give people the peace of mind that government will be there in future crises is to pay down our debts now. And if we don't, we're just leaving our children to pay the bill. Last September was a stark reminder of why this matters so much. The country was rocked by a financial crisis caused in part because investors didn't believe the UK had a plan to control our debt. And we should remember what happened last time the Labour Party were in power. Their attitude to the public finances was so cavalier, they actually left a note behind saying, "There's no money left." They made a joke out of it. I will never do that. That's why the Chancellor and I have taken difficult decisions to control our debt. That wasn't the easy thing to do, but it was the right thing to do for our country. And that's what leadership means. And contrast that with our political opponents. Now, they talk the talk, but frankly, the rhetoric is the easy part. It takes political courage to take the difficult but right decisions for the long term. And the truth is, Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves tried to block or opportunistically oppose almost every major decision we took to get our debt falling. And if they get the chance, they'll make the problem even worse, continuing the big government, big spending approach of the pandemic and promising to borrow a further £28 billion a year. And this makes the same economic mistake as last year's mini-budget. Blowing tens of billions of pounds on unfunded spending is just as dangerous as blowing tens of billions of pounds on unfunded tax cuts. It's taking the easy way out, and the result is the same: higher inflation, financial insecurity, and more debt for our children and grandchildren. Now, I want to cut taxes. I believe in cutting taxes. What clearer expression could there be of my governing philosophy than the belief that people and not governments make the best decisions about their money? But doing that responsibly is hard. We must avoid doing anything that puts at risk our progress in controlling inflation. And no matter how much we might want them to, history shows that tax cuts don't automatically pay for themselves. And I can't click my fingers and suddenly wish away all the reasons that taxes had to increase in the first place. Partly because of COVID and Putin's war in Ukraine, and partly because we want to support people to live in dignity in retirement, with a decent pension and good health care, which will cost more as the population ages. But my argument has never been that we shouldn't cut taxes. It's been that we could only cut taxes once we've controlled inflation and debt. First cut inflation, then cut taxes. And that's why I made the promise to halve inflation, and the official statistics show that promise has now been met. So now that inflation is halved, and our growth is stronger, meaning revenues are higher, we can begin the next phase and turn our attention to cutting tax. We will do this in a serious, responsible way, based on fiscal rules to deliver sound money and alongside the independent forecasts of the Office of Budget Responsibility. And we can't do everything all at once. It will take discipline, and we need to prioritise. But over time, we can and we will cut taxes.